Hello everybody, this is Tim here again, have another movie review. This time, this is actually a surprising movie review for me. I'm going to do a review for BumbleBee, directed by Travis Knight, and starring Haley Steinfeld. This movie blowed my friggin' mind. I'm just going to say. As far as Transformers goes, I didn't really grow up with Transformers. I grew up with like Beast Wars and stuff. That's the only kind of Transformers thing I grew up with, and I really liked Beast Wars. I'm not like a big Transformers guy. I mean, I know the basic stuff of Transformers. Not that I don't like the shows. I've just never like really grew up with them and stuff like that. But I know who like Optimus Prime, Megatron, all that kind of stuff is. Starscream, and Bumblebee. But I've never been like really huge into them. And in terms of the Michael Bay movies, I've hated every single one of them. I have not liked any of them. That's why I haven't done like a franchise review of them, because the majority of them would either be like a low 2 passable stars or a 0. I'm just not a fan of Michael Bay's Transformers, like any of them. This movie, this movie had a high critic rating, and I didn't expect it to be as good as the critics said. This deserves its Rotten Tomatoes score. Rotten Tomatoes is a bullshit site, but this deserves the high score it has. I'm so happy this film got a good critic score, because it deserves it. This is a 4-star out of 4 film. I love this film. I thought it was really good. This is the only Transformers I would bother owning. Me personally. I mean, if you like the other films, stuff like that, that's cool. But this is just, me personally, my review. I love this film. It's not perfect. There are problems. But as a whole, I loved it. You got John Cena in here, who is honestly not a good actor, but this is his best performance I've ever seen the man give, and he is used good here. And he's got really funny lines at certain points. Other times he is kind of mugging and doing the soldier thing or whatever. But for the most part, he's good here. He's very well directed. And all the other Transformers movies, I could never tell the Transformers apart. When this film starts off, it starts off on Cybertron. I loved the opening of this on Cybertron. I would love a whole Cybertron movie. The opening on Cybertron, I could finally tell the Transformers apart. Now, I'll be honest, I still don't know like the names of certain ones. Like the villains in this movie is like these 2 male and female Decepticons, and one of them was red or whatever, and I think the other one might have been blue. But they both had really cool personalities, and they were great villains in terms of the movie. But I don't know their names. But anyway, I could finally tell the Transformers apart here. They're done. The Transformers are animated here in a certain way to where they're really like more colored up. Their color is like more noticeable, so you can tell them apart better in their fights. I couldn't even ever tell the Transformers apart in the Michael Bay films when they was punching each other. Haley Steinfeld does a great job here. This actress really surprised me. This is the only thing I've ever seen her in. She does a great job here. This girl's got a career ahead of her in terms of Hollywood. But and plus she's really cute. But yeah, you get into the movie. It's about this girl who, Bumblebee flies off of Cybertron while they're in the middle of a war. He gets sent off, and he winds up on Earth, and the Decepticons are chasing him down. I may have missed like why the Decepticons are after him. Is it just because he's an Autobot, or is it because he has some kind of information or something like that about the Decepticons and about how to stop them, or is it just because he's a high-ranking Autobot? I kind of missed why exactly they're after him. I guess it's just to destroy him because they hate Autobots. But I don't know. I thought I might have missed something. It might have been something deeper, like he had a message or something really important. I guess it kind of was a message because he was getting like messages, or he had a message from Optimus Prime. I guess that was it, talking about how they're going to invade Earth and everything to get the Autobots that are coming there. I don't know, something like that. I kind of missed something there, but I'll be honest. But once they got to Earth, though, he loses his memory because he gets his voice box like stabbed out, like ripped out, in a really cool fight scene. And he shows up, and of course, John Cena, being a military guy, automatically sees him as a threat because he's a freaking giant robot. And when he crash lands on Earth, some of John Cena's men get hurt, so he automatically, thinks the dude's a threat. Plus, because he's a giant freaking robot, so it makes sense why he would see him as a threat. And all the movies like chasing after Bumblebee, wanting to kick his ass, and these Decepticons show up, and of course the military trusts them, or wants to trust them, because they make a good point in the movie, the scientist does, of like, well, if we don't help them, they'll go to the Russians, and then they'll get all their technology. And I did think it was kind of corny how the Decepticons like created the internet. That was kind of stupid. But I like John Cena's reply. It's really funny where he goes, I don't think we can trust these guys. They're literally called Decepticons. That was pretty damn funny. I laughed pretty hard at that. But, and just like the interactions with Bumblebee and Haley Steinfeld when she finds him as this Volkswagen Beetle or whatever, bug. Just like when she finds out that he's a robot, and their interactions together is just really heartwarming and charming. And she plays this character that like lost her dad. Some of the problems with this film is pretty much a John Hughes, Steven Spielberg movie. As a whole, it's really a John Hughes movie, but it hits a lot of Steven Spielberg beats too. And that's the reason why this film works, because it's a good movie first and a Transformers movie second. It puts the spectacle to the back half and focuses on telling a really good story, and that's why this movie succeeds. And she's pretty much this outsider girl, punk rock chick, automatically related to her. But she does a really great job here. This movie has a wonderful 80s soundtrack. Some of the problems with the film, though, is it does kind of push the 80s nostalgia a little bit too much with maybe one or too many 80s songs. And she works at like this auto place, and that's where she gets Bumblebee from. And he actually has a literal Bumblebee like hive thing or whatever underneath his underneath the vehicle. And there's this old dude working there, and he's like, and she shows up. She's like, I'll do all this work around here if you let me have him, and I'll even scrub your shitty toilets or whatever. And he's like, forget it. You can have him for free. It's your birthday. It was really, I can't do it justice, but the delivery of the way the actors did it was really good. And I recognize the old man from Blue Bloods, actually. I don't know this guy's name. He did a good job here. I actually watched Blue Bloods, but the cop TV show. But yeah, this movie is just really charming. Some other problems with the film is like Bumblebee loses his memory from a battle he had when he lost his voice box. And while he's on Earth, he does get a little bit too dopey. Even without his memory, he shouldn't be as goofy and childlike as he is in the film. But I'll just admit, he's so friggin' charming that he wins me over. I will 100% honest, I've never given a shit about Bumblebee in any of those Transformers Michael Bay films. I'm officially a Bumblebee fan after watching this. This movie totally won me over to that character. And he's just bonding with her, and it's just really like just heartwarming and fun of how he's like riding around with her, and they go to this bully's house, and they're like, she tells him to like egg the place, and he runs over there and takes the eggs and like smashes them on the vehicle, starts stomping the shit out of it. It was really funny. Other kind of little weak spots in the film is like any John Hughes movie, it also has those kind of token problems of those films, just inherent problems, I mean, of like, here's the bullies, it's the rich kid who's an asshole just because she's, rich and blonde. That, not much to the character there. She has a friend in the movie, this boy who has a crush on her, who wants to be with her, but they never really like go really into them being like lovers or anything. And one problem with the movie is this character is kind of useless for the first half. He's just kind of like pining, just like, kind of just moaning for her for most of the first half and doesn't want to talk to her. And he's just kind of there. He doesn't really accomplish anything. But when he actually becomes part of the plot, when he discovers, Bumblebee's a robot, and it's pretty funny because her reaction to it is like, if you tell me about it, I'll run you over with my car. And she's like, not in a mean way. It was just really funny line delivery. The actress just does a really good job. She really surprised me in this film because I had no idea who this chick was, and she has really surprised me here. But yeah, and once they team up, the dude has good chemistry with her as an actor, but he doesn't have great chemistry with her. He has chemistry in the way of like being like a best friend. This is like a friend zone type dude here. They don't have chemistry as in like boyfriend and girlfriend. It's just not there, and I'm glad they didn't go really through with that. Even at the end of the movie, he tries to like hold her hand. She's like, "Whoa, we're not there yet," and it's just like, and they start laughing. It's just like really charming. That's just the thing about this movie. It has problems, but it has so much friggin' charm to it that any kind of problems it has, it just makes up for. Like, the friggin' Bumblebee's watching Breakfast Club, and he sees, like, Judd Nelson, like, do the fist pump in the air, and then later at the end of the movie, John Cena's like, goes like this and goes, "Goodbye, soldier," and Bumblebee looks at him and does the friggin' Breakfast Club fist bump. I was so hoping that John Cena was going to look at the camera after that and go, "Was that from the Breakfast Club?" I wish he would have called it out. And the boy character, when he comes into the movie, he is fun when he's there, but once it gets to the climax, he like totally sets out the whole climax. Like they have this big action scene where Bumblebee is dead pretty much, and Haley Steinfeld revives him by shocking him with these electroshock weapons that the military had and brings him back. And you get this really cool scene where the John Cena shows up with the military and they're like trying to kill him, and he throws her down, the girl down, and Bumblebee gets pissed off, and John Cena goes, "Oh shit," and he gets hit. That was really funny. And of course she calms him down. But then after that, like, they're getting ready to leave, and the boy is like, "Just go, I'll buy you some time." It's like, why are you doing this? It's like, it just felt like an excuse just to get him out of the end of the plot, out of the climax. And once they did that, honestly, his character could be completely, I mean, they could have written this script in a way to where he wasn't needed at all. And other problems with the movie, there's one other problem with the movie that is noticeable. She is like a diving champion or whatever, and she doesn't want to dive anymore because her spirit's been broken because her father isn't with her no more, who she loved a lot. And at the end of the movie, she finally decides to dive to go help Bumblebee and check on him when he ends up getting trapped in this big flood. But the movie doesn't like drive that point home enough of, I mean, it drives home the connection between her and her dad, but not enough of the point of he helped give her all these diving lessons and stuff. It only really like goes into it like one scene where Bumblebee puts in like a diving tape and you see some scenes of them together. But this movie is pretty long, and so by the time you get to the climax, it's just that effect of that scene is just kind of worn off. They would have been better if they would have put in a few more scenes to kind of drive home that she, you know, has really found, you know, something that's really brought joy to her life again since her dad's been gone, being Bumblebee, and that she's diving again. They could have done a little better on that, but other than that, other than these gripes I've got, this is a great movie. Great. It's very charming and just very heartwarming, and it's very well acted. All the humor is way better here than the Michael Bay films. There is one scene, though, where the stepdad is like handing the daughter a book about how to smile for her birthday, and it's just really stupid. That was the only scene that approached Michael Bay comedy territory when he makes the parents totally ignorant and idiots. That was the only scene. That had me worried. I was really enjoying the movie, and I was like, oh shit, Michael Bay. And then it was like, oh, thank God. It rebounded. And then by the time you get to the end of the film, she knows that she has to, well, let me say this. Let me get back to this. He saves John Cena in a scene when a helicopter, one of the Decepticons, like shoots him down, and he saves John Cena, and that's how John Cena realizes, you know, this man is not our enemy, just like Man of Steel with Superman. And he's like, you guys better get out of here at the end of the movie. But anyway, they get away, and they're together, and she's like, you gotta leave, B. And it's a very heartwarming scene where they know they gotta separate because he can't stay with her because they're never gonna be safe because the military is gonna keep coming back to her place. And so he has to leave, and he gives her a hug, and he transforms into the Camaro from the Michael Bay films. And so I was like thinking, oh God, they're linking up with the Bay films. No! You've done a great job with this as a reboot. Now what this is a soft reboot. What they've done here is they've hedged their bets to like, well, if this film gets subpar reviews or middling reviews, but mostly positive, we can still keep it in the Bay universe and continue on with those at the same time. But if it gets really great reviews, we can kind of do something else. This feels like one of those types of reboots where they're not really sure where they want to put it yet. But at the end, when he transforms into the Camaro, you know he's going to end up with Shia LaBeouf eventually. And I was like, no. Because I didn't want this to connect to the Bay films. This is such a good movie. It needs to stay away from the Bay films. Reboot with this one, Paramount. Reboot. Ignore the Bay shit. Go straight from here. And just do a new series. One thing I will say is, I don't know how you're going to capture this like kind of magic quality of this movie again. Like, if the reason this film works so well, like, is multiple reasons. Like I said, it puts the spectacle to the back half and focuses on story and character first. And another reason is because there's not so many Transformers, so you're able to just focus on character development with just Bumblebee and Haley Steinfeld's character. So you don't have to worry about having 20,000 Transformers to give character to. So it's much easier to do this as a movie. If they do a sequel to this, Optimus Prime shows up at the end, you would have to like you would, and there's a bunch more Autobots showing up at the end. I'm worried that I'm worried that it's gonna become a big explosion fest again. But and that scares me. But because this film is just so well done, I love this film. Honestly, if I had seen this in 2018, this would have probably been my favorite film of the year. I haven't seen Spider-Verse yet though, but this film was great, really so well done. I don't know if this director has done anything else, but I'm gonna check out his other stuff. This deserves its high critic score. Glass didn't deserve its low critic score, but this deserves its high critic score. Easily 4-star out of 4 film, and I highly recommend this film, even to non-Transformers fans. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.